Hi there. I've got my uniform on today because I can't be bothered to get changed. Do you know we've got the sun shining outside and yet it's freezing cold. I've just turned my heating up, but I've been working outside in it all day with 3-4 layers on, so it's quite funny when the sun shines because you expect it to be just nice and warm and it's just not. But anyway, I thought I'm just going to make this light-hearted, even though it's not light-hearted, it's serious. But I live in the world of conspiracy, and I've got loads of friends who are all into everything, going down the rabbit hole and everything, and I do love it because you become aware of what's going on and all the tactics, and there's a point where people are all walking around, even in the conspiracy world if you like, but a lot of them are do fear mongering, but some of them are like constantly anxious. And I've just got to a point, and this has been for about a couple of years now, where I just laugh everything off now because I'm sick of it. I'm sick of hearing it. So I wrote down a few of the scenarios that are going to end it for us all. And this is all I hear all the time. So take your pick. Which one's going to take us out and add to the list? Because I'm sure you can think of other things that I haven't thought of, because all these things that are in place have been put in place for a long, long time. And anybody who thinks that these are just sort of conspiracies need to go and look into all these things. So we're going to start off with World War III. Now, I don't watch the news. If you don't watch the news and you don't read papers and you don't hang around with people who do, then would you know there was going to be one, or there's one going on behind the scenes, possibly? And the answer is no, not in this country anyway. So that's the sort of thing that gives me anxiety if I think it's going to happen. So I'm like, right, okay, don't think about it. But then we've got the alien invasion. But I have seen UFOs and all the rest, and I know that the military have them and blah blah blah, and I do believe they're real, but I do believe it would be fake, so they'll use holograms and things like that. But it's just another fearmonger thing, isn't it? So you've got two choices there. Then the next one is they're getting rid of the food, so all the farmland's getting bought up. They're now killing chickens off because of this bird flu, and they're just going to go for the animals next. So there'll be no food, and they're getting rid of all the fields where they grow the crops, and a lot of farms are getting sold off to the mega rich. So right, so we're going to end up with no food, so we're going to die of hunger. And then you've got the cashless society, which will become digitised, which means there'll be no money unless you do as you're told, and then you'll get your digits in your bank and you'll be allowed to have your daily rations while you are living in the 15-minute smart city, which will be controlled by 5G and surveillance. So you've got all that to look forward to, and then on top of that there's another virus on its way that people keep going on about now, which I'm not interested in, and then you've got the Islamic takeover. So this is the next one now. So this is the one where they are bringing in people from abroad, and they are putting them in hotels, and they are the UN soldiers. And people think, oh yeah, whatever, but they are, okay? So they're getting bought in for another reset. And when I think about Britain over the years, you got to go back centuries. How many times have we been invaded? So this is the next one. It's another invasion. So it's either an alien invasion or an immigrant invasion. But either way, there's all them. And then on top of all that, you've got the DEW technology, which is DEW, which means direct energy weapons. So you've got that to look forward to, because they're taking down loads of places in America now, and they've done some places in Australia. And what they do is they use this technology to set fire to houses and just floor them to the ground. But they don't touch trees. So these fires only hit buildings and cars, but not trees. But it's just a coincidence, and they're just wildfires, and that's how it is. So don't get all conspiracy on me now. And then the next one are the floods. Now this is really interesting, because I've read a report, and you can find it online if you go, that they've releasing loads of dams, and it's all on a pretense to do with the environment, and they're releasing all the water from the dams. Well, where do you think it's going to go? It's going to go straight into the valleys and flood everyone out of them. So, but that's just another conspiracy. And then you've got your earthquakes and the fires and floods. So you've got all these things to pick from. And I'm sitting here thinking, what shall I be scared of? Which one should I be scared of the most? Because that's all we're living in. It's just constant fear. And when you look at all that, you're like, if I still had anxiety like I used to have, and somebody came up to me when I wasn't ready to hear this and said, oh, all this stuff's going to take you out, I wouldn't even be able to function, because I'd be like, oh, no. Because I used to hang on to things and get really stressed. But now I'm just, do you know what, I'm just laughing at this, because this is ridiculous now. We've got the second Antichrist, or whatever they call them. I mean, I don't go into politics and stuff usually, but I just can't help it. Every time I go on Facebook, and I try not to go on it anymore, there's always something more to be scared of. Are you scared of this, and are you scared of that? What about the CERN machine? The CERN, C-E-R-N. When they opened that up, and they opened all these portals up and everything, and then when you read about all the other things that they don't talk about, all the operations like the Montauk and Philadelphia experiment, there are so many, it is unbelievable, and they are all experiments on people, animals, the earth that we live on, and they've all, the amount of things that happen to us is unbelievable. Do you know what? I'm amazed we're still alive right now. I am actually amazed, because all we're eating is GMO, sprayed with pesticides, herbicides, or insecticides, flipping heck, and then where do you start with it? So do you know what? I just laugh now. I think when you go into the world of, you start waking up to what's going on, you go through different episodes. So what triggered me, going back to, I'd have been about 40, and I was sat in the garden with my ex, and he looked up at the sky and he went, what do you think to that? And I looked up and said, what? And he went, all them chemtrails. And I went, what are you on about, chemtrail? And he went, the chemtrails that are coming out of the plane, what do you think to that? And I'd never even noticed. And I went, I don't even know what you're talking about. And I thought he was crazy. So he said, well, you know, I'll just leave it with you there. But, you know, my mind is like, if you put something in it, I need to know. So I went to do some research. And I couldn't stop doing it. And I'm like looking at it all. Then I remember feeling really, really stressed. Really, really scared. And then I got really angry. And I said what everybody says when they start to wake up. Why would the government do that to us? And I remember saying that, and I was absolutely devastated, and I couldn't believe it, because I used to trust them. Not fully, but I kind of did. And then that just blew my feet away, and it was like, I just sat down and I thought, who can you trust then? And then that opens the door to something else, and then before you know it, you're going down a rabbit hole, and before you know it, you're starting to see more and more stuff to be scared of, and then you freak out, and then you have a breakdown, and then you think, why am I here? What's the point in being here with all this evil around us and everything? Then you go through another one, which is like an acceptance, but then in your head you're thinking, how can I sidestep this? So this is one of the reasons I came to Scotland, and I live like I live. I don't live in bricks and mortar anymore, and I don't take part in the system fully. You can't fully leave it unless you're really rich and you know what you're doing, but I got to a point and I thought, I can't do this anymore. I need to go. I need to go somewhere and find a different way to live. So I have got kind of used to not needing people as much as I needed to, in the sense of I used to only feel safe if I had a lot of people around me. Now I feel safer alone with no one around. And I'd actually feel even more safer if I lived in the countryside with no neighbours. Because I can't trust people. And during the episode we've just gone through, I didn't have it happen to me personally because of where I live. But there were people getting phone calls because they were out more than an hour, or they were sat in the garden daring to have a nice time, or they were sat on a park bench or a beach. And I'm like, this is just insanity. It's just crazy. But now I've got to a point where I'm just laughing at it now, because it's just a circus show and we're all going to die. Accept that. We will all leave our bodies. I do not believe in death. I do not believe that we die and that's the end of it at all. So all we're going to do, if we don't sort ourselves out, is come back again, because I believe that when we die, we are coerced back here by, I'm going to use the word archons, or the overlords, or the demons, whatever, but I think we're lied to about death. And if you're not awake enough, you will just agree to come back here to sort out the sins from your past life. It's like I told you about on a regression that I did. I had a regression done by my ex and it all went wrong. And part of that was I was an alcoholic in my past life. And when I was born to this one, my dad was an alcoholic. And I used to think, after this regression, did I agree to come back here because I'd been an alcoholic and now I was put onto the other side of it to see what it's like for other people? So everything's karma. But I do remember when I was a child looking out of the window of my bedroom and going, why did I agree to come back here? And I'll never forget the words, why did I agree to come back here? Well, that's like a coercion. So I've never felt I'm part of it here, like I don't want to be here, and I've felt like that my whole life. And all I've heard my whole life is sad stories, bad stories, gossip. I don't like him, I can't stand them over there. Everybody hates everybody, and then when they're face to face it's hi. And then when they've gone it's like I can't stand them. And my brain is fried with all this. And do you know what? I'm done. I'm actually done with it, and I've had enough. I'm going to die one way or the other. I've nearly died as a child. I had a burst appendix when I was about 9 or 10, and I died, and I remember coming back round and the nurse was sat next to me and she was holding my hand and calling my name, and I came around and she went, oh, you're back here, are you alright, darling? And I remember saying to her, why did you bring me back? And she looked really confused. I didn't want to come back. I was happy to go. I was happy to go. And then about a few years back I got sepsis, and I would have died if they hadn't have caught it in time, because I'd started to pee black blood, well, black. And I was hallucinating and all the rest of it, and they ended up putting me on these heavy duty drips and stuff, and I was in hospital. And again, I didn't care, because what are you fighting for here, right? I don't care. So why is World War III, a fake alien invasion, a cashless society, no food, 5G, smart cities, 15-minute cities, another virus, Islamic takeover, Jew technology, displacements due to floods, earthquakes and fires. Tell me some good news now. Like, this is all it is, isn't it? Now this, I'm going to end this conversation right now by telling myself this and you, right? There's always been resets. There's always been disasters. And people have always survived them. Now, if it's my time to go, then I accept it's my time to go. All I need to do is make sure I don't come back. That's it. Don't be coerced into coming back here. That's all I need to worry about for me, right? Obviously, I don't want any of this stuff to happen to anybody. I don't want anything to happen to no one because it's sick and disgusting. But how can I stop any of that? What could I physically do to stop any of that? And the answer is nothing. All I can do is just laugh it off and go, whatever. Something's going to take me out. Something. We can't live forever in these bodies, so we're all going to go anyway. So let's stop living in fear. We should be celebrating. If these things are going to happen tomorrow, let's enjoy today. And let's be with the right people. And let's just not live a life that's so stressful, because I'm sick of being stressed. And I don't know about you. And we've tried to wake people up. But I also have to accept that I was 40 before I started waking up. I had inklings of stuff before then. And, you know, you get those feelings inside where you think things are just not right. I don't like this world. I don't belong in it. I don't like the people. Especially when I'm in a low place myself. Because that's when you find out how cruel people are as well. Because some people take pleasure out of seeing you on your knees. And I've always had this problem with most people thinking you're just not nice and you're not genuine and you don't really love from your heart. It's more, oh, he's got loads of money, hey! And then everybody's in love with everybody, but it's for what they can get. And when I see genuine people who genuinely love each other, I feel really happy around them because you can see it. But I am sick of living in fear. And so when I go on Facebook now and I see all this stuff, I'm like, do you know what? No, I'm not doing it. Something's going to take us out. If you didn't have a TV, you didn't have a newspaper, you didn't have people around you who watched it all, and you didn't go on Facebook, how would you know about any of that stuff? You wouldn't know anything about anything unless it happened to you personally. And then what can you do about it? So I'm not going to live in fear anymore and stuff it. I'm not doing it. So if you want to join me and not live in fear, we're going to do another video about something really positive. Because I am not scared anymore of all this crap. Because we're going to go one way or the other. You know, I will tell you this though. I have had about 4 what I felt were premonitions, and the first one happened when I was a child. And I dreamt that the sky turned dark red and it felt like it was coming down. And I could sense all these spirits around me, but it was really frightening. And people were dropping in the street. And the next thing, I went into the corner of the room and huddled down and put my head down and closed my eyes. And then I felt nothing. And then I opened my eyes and I'd been transported to the top of the moor, and when I looked down in the valley, it was absolutely stunning, and the grass was just green and everything was so alive. All the colours were alive, and I was reunited with my nana. And I remember I couldn't have felt so much more happiness. So whatever crap happens to us, just remember, if you're a good person and you've got a good heart and you can get yourself into a good place, you don't need to worry about what happens after all that crap, because you'll go somewhere better. And that's all I am going to say about this. I'm not interested anymore in this crap, because they can just shove it, because all they want to do is keep us scared, and I am not scared anymore. So I'll see you in the next